The number one thing everyone wants to know about is China. What are they doing? What is their plan? Here you will find out. So basically, it all starts off with the petrodollar. The dollar we have now is called the petrodollar. Started in 1971 when the US left the Bretton Woods system, which was tied the US dollar to gold. And Nixon rushed to the Arab states and said, please, 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 price all your oil in dollars, right? If you price them in dollars, then at least then the people will need dollars, and then they won't switch they won't get rid of them, and then the US can keep having deficits. That was the whole purpose of it. So they said, okay, fine. So now the Saudis, they were selling, lots of oil to America and getting all their money in dollars and recycling that by buying US treasuries, buying US debt. And in that way, by doing that, you're balancing the requirements for the dollars, so that everyone's taking dollars out to buy oil, and then you're putting it back in through treasuries. Now, oil went down in the 80s, but don't worry, Japan came up as the big exporter of the world, and they did the same thing. They were getting dollars, and then they were buying US treasuries, and in the year 2000, China took over from Japan, and they were exporting everything, and they were getting dollars, and they were buying US treasuries until 2013, when they said enough. The Chinese central bank said, we have $4.5 trillion worth of treasuries, by far the number one. Japan is about $1.5 trillion, and Britain is $450 billion of treasuries. And so by far the highest, and they said from now on we are not buying one more. In fact, we're going to slightly reduce it, but generally keep it, and they've kept it generally around the same amount. Now that is a problem, because what happens with every recession, every big shock, .com, 2008, when there's a big shock, everyone goes, okay, we need treasuries. It's a safe asset. Let's go and buy treasuries, right? And that's very good for America. They're prestigious. We've got the best assets, and we can start increasing our debt and getting America out of their recession quickest. America's always the first one out of any global recession quickest, because they've got the money to just throw around their population to get them out of this, because people are buying the treasuries. That did not happen this time. In fact, what happened this time, if we can see here, is this is January 2020. This is foreign holdings in black of US treasuries, and the red is the Fed. So the Fed weren't holding that many US treasuries at the beginning of January 2020. Then we had the shock in March, and rather than people buying treasuries and saying, we need it, it's a safe asset, everyone started selling them. The reason being, they're saying, we don't need treasuries, we need dollars, because all the companies needed dollars to cover their margins. So they're all telling their central banks, we need dollars. So everyone's selling treasuries to get dollars. Okay? And that's what you saw. They're selling treasuries. Now that's very, very bad for America. So what happened is the Fed had to step in and poof, increase its balance sheet, and they were the only ones buying treasuries. Since then, they're the only ones that have been buying treasuries, and as we know, they have 9 trillion now on their books of pointless government debt. No one is increasing, no foreign holdings are increasing of US government debt. China stayed stable, they don't care, they're not buying anymore, no one is buying anymore. So now America is in real big trouble. Because what's happening now is, rather than this whole merry-go-round of we'll send out dollars, but then you bring them back by buying treasuries, now, although America prints, and it's printed 25% of all dollars in circulation just last year, what happens now is, so everyone knows America's just printing these pointless monopoly money dollars, right? And it goes mainly to China, right? So now you've got the Biden bucks and the stimulus checks. That just basically goes to China. Now, China's not stupid. They were buying treasuries before. Now they're going, mate, what are we going to do with this monopoly money? There is nothing, it's pointless, it's worthless. They just printed it. It's just come off their printing press 5 seconds ago. It's not backed by anything, there's nothing there. We're going to buy dollar-denominated assets all around the world. They can't buy it in China. They can't keep it in China, because then the yuan would go increase in price, right? They can't do that. Anything in China, the currency would increase, and that would basically equate it and make them not a top exporter anymore. So they don't want to use it in China. They go around the world and they buy up assets. So in Britain, the nuclear power industry, they want to do 5G. It was just about stopped. Obviously, huge bribes given to the government in the UK to allow 5G, but even that couldn't. The public outcry was too high. But they've got the nuclear network, nuclear power under. They've got the ports. They've got the rail. In America, they're buying everything they can. In Africa, they've basically funded everything, all the ports, all the rail, all the roads. And they are buying up everything, the Belt and Road system, all the way from China to Europe, completely. Everyone is on board on that because they just have all those dollars and they're like, well, we'll just buy things with this worthless monopoly money. We don't want that. We know it's worthless. But these idiots want, are going to sell me a real asset for this junk. Great. And that's what they're doing. And they're buying up the whole world and the infrastructure of the whole world and all the companies. And America is going to be faced with, whenever they want, China will be able to switch it on and say, right, no US trade coming through our ports. They can't use our highways, makes you inefficient. We own everything. That is where they are going. They will own pretty much everything. They will buy all the companies they need to. I can tell you, in Israel, they bought Tnuva, which is a giant conglomerate. They bought the port of Haifa. They bought a lot of places, very important infrastructure places, and they're willing to fund more railways. They wanted to do the electrification of the lines, all, what's it called, below cost. They don't care if they lose money. They don't care if it's over, they overpay for it. What are they going to do with it? It's pointless monopoly money. They know it's pointless monopoly money. So therefore, they don't care if they overspend or do anything because they are getting a real asset in return. That is what America is not understanding by spending all this money, all these stimmy checks, just basically handing it over to China. You're basically printing money, which you know is useless, thinking you're helping your population because they're now getting their new bike or their new computer or their new iPhone, all from China. And oh, we've hustled China because we've got these goods. What have you got? You got consumer goods. Useless. They'll be in the bin within 5 minutes. Pointless junk. China's happy to send you. But who's got the real assets? Who's got the stuff for the future? Who's got those factories? Who's got the infrastructure? China, not America. Years of printing money. And not just that, they've now got the Fed owning all the government debt. So they're in a real quandary now. What can they do? No one wants their junk debt, but they have to keep printing more. And every time they print more, they make China stronger and give China more power. It's a very big problem. They know this and they have no way out of it because they have to keep the Ponzi scheme going. The stock market is everything. They can tell you they're focused on inflation, on unemployment, all a load of rubbish. The only thing they are focused on and have been for years is the stock market. That's it. That's all they care about. That is their barometer. They have to keep it pumped. They couldn't care less about the real economy. They couldn't care less about the average man. And China gets stronger through all this. And so I don't know where we're going to go with this.